everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our Little Italy of Los Angeles podcast. And I think the music's gone a little crazy, but I'm just going to keep talking till it goes away. Thank you so much for being here. We have a really exciting show for you today, a Christmas show, if you will. I'm highlighting some of our wonderful board members from the Little Italy of Los Angeles Association, just so you can get to know them, a little bit more of what we're doing down in Little Italy, LA, and also some of the Christmas traditions that they all grew up with, which I just thought would really be fun to hear about and learn about. I'm going to introduce them. We've got Gino. He is our vice president. Hello, Gino.
Hi.
Josephine down in the center there. We've got you, Josephine. You are our secretary, right?
Yes. Hi.
Okay. Hi. Paula, you are our events chair, and soon we'll have lots of events once COVID decides to take a hike. And of course, Shelby, whom I've gotten to know very well. She's been so helpful. She's our development director of Little Italy, LA. Thanks everybody for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about first, how about this? Little Italy, LA, for those folks who still don't quite know about it and what we're doing down there in San Pedro. Gino, you want to
Sure.
you want to start us off? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I was born here in LA. I'm a Valley boy, San Fernando Valley boy. Sorry, San Pedro. But the constant question for all Italian Americans has always been, why don't we have a place to congregate? We're so spread out, and we've never had a bricks and mortar location to actually put all of our cultural things together and all of our family histories. You know, we've got a museum, but that's not really a place where we can come. And finally, we now have a beautiful place, a location, a concentration of Italians and Italian Americans, and a physical location where we can meet and we can express our Italian culture. And also, as I like to point out to all my Italian friends who are here and married American people, they're raising Italian Americans. So that division between Italian American and a quote Italian has been eliminated. And so now finally we're going to have a concentration in along 6th Street, our Corso Italiana Piazza, and a place for us to come, for all of us.
I love it. We had that, I think like a little festival just before COVID, right? Gino, you've got quite a voice. You were singing there out on the piazza, which is right there out on the waterfront, because I love water. And just to have that area right there on the waterfront at San Pedro, it's quite a backdrop. It's really fantastic. Some completely authentic restaurants. It's going to be fantastic once we can open up more again. You know, we've worked really hard to keep things going. Josephine, talk to me a little bit about what you do for Little Italy, Los Angeles, would you?
Yes, I like to coordinate special events. Like for COVID, we had a basket giving. We put baskets together with Italian products, and we gave it to the people who couldn't get out, couldn't go grocery shopping, and we just got a bunch of names and from the Italian community. And we went, me and Shelby and another Sandra, another girl that works with us, and we just went around just giving baskets. And now we're going to do some cookies down at the farmers market. We're actually baking cookies, and we're going to wrap them up tomorrow and sell them tomorrow at the on Friday at the market down on where the Little Italy is.
Right, and you have the farmers market every Friday down in San Pedro.
Yes.
It's terrific. It's got everything fresh that you would expect as at a farmer's market, and some surprises too. Some Italian delicacies, you know, cheeses and whatever. It's fantastic. I think it's really worth the drive.
It's getting bigger and bigger. We started off kind of small, but you know, as the time goes by, people know about it, so more vendors come. And I'm also a treasurer of the Italian American Club in San Pedro. So I'm involved in that, and we do a lot of events there, and we've been doing a lot of sales for pasta and rice balls and pizza, just come and pick it up and leave, and that's been very successful too. So I'm very involved in the Italian community.
Beautiful. Paula?
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm excited to be part of this podcast today. I work with Shelby, Janine, and Sandra, and we have been working on events for Little Italy, trying to keep everybody still engaged and excited. And we have a lot of things planned for 2021. some in person later in the year, and some virtual ones coming up. And we're just excited to be here and be part of the community.
Give us a little tease of some of the virtual ones, because you had an incredible virtual one, the movie night, right?
Oh, the movie night was wonderful.
Oh, it was spectacular. 3 nights, I think, 3 nights of movies over an entire weekend, right there out on the water on the big ship, right? Could you tell us about that briefly?
Oh, Shelby probably has better information than I do, but that was a wonderful event. It was our first drive up movie event. It was great. We had a great turnout. We have several planned again for 2021 in conjunction with like a Italian car festival. We've got a scavenger hunt. We have a lot of things planned, and we're hoping that was our first drive-in event. And it was, like I said, a great turn. And we're hoping to do that several more times in 2021.
Shelby, I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about, briefly also, the plans for Little Italy LA. Again, for those folks who haven't heard of us, what are some of the plans once we're ready to open up? Because we're really going to be a destination, just as there's a destination for Little Italy in San Diego, New York on a much larger scale. But what are the hopes and dreams and realities of what we can expect in the future?
Yeah, so we're all part of a big project. Obviously, we're modeled after the San Diego Little Italy, which is a neighborhood, and that's what we're building right now. So we're really working with the community so that we can make sure that everyone feels like they're a part of it. You know, we are Little Italy, and we want Italians and Italian Americans to have a place where they can gather, but we also want to encourage people from all over the world to get a taste of Italy right in San Pedro and in Los Angeles. San Pedro is kind of the end of the earth, so a lot of people feel like it's, you know, very far to go to, but it's geographically very similar to Italy. And when you go there, you kind of feel like you really are in Italy, and we want to kind of simulate that, just like they were able to do in San Diego here in Los Angeles, because we have a huge community and we want to make sure that we're serving them.
It's right there on the waterfront, and I know that they're also developing the waterfront. That's one of the future projects. That's going to be outstanding. It's a place to walk and shop and eat. It's just all going to come together. You know, also we've got the piazza there with the big fountain. There's a lot of plans that I'm very excited to be a part of. I was asked to join the board last year by Mike and Joe. I was thrilled to be a part of it, and I'm thrilled to do whatever I can to help promote it. So it's that time of year, everybody, Christmas, and we all know that Christmas is such a big deal to us Italians, right? And I'd like to sort of go around the room, if you will, and I don't have to go in order, just anybody jump in when you want. Tell me a little bit, if you will, about your Christmas traditions growing up with an Italian family, for those of us who did, and the traditions that you have now that you continue with your family. Anybody?
I'll start.
Okay.
Our Christmas is really special to my family, and I'm very lucky that my side and Joe's side all get together for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. My mother-in-law starts with cookie baking, little festival at her house with all the grandkids and fresh pasta making. So they do all that like the week and a half before, and have it all ready for Christmas Eve. And Christmas Eve starts. The kids usually go over, and none of them are really kids anymore. They're all young adults ranging from 32 to 22 now. They go over their Nona's house different times of the day and set up and help cook. And we own a seafood company. So it's just an evening, a seafood extravaganza with fresh pasta and every imaginable seafood you can imagine we eat. And we eat all night. We play games. We just hang out. It's just a really fun tradition, and somebody dresses up as Santa every year. It doesn't matter, old or young, everybody takes pictures with Santa. It's just a fun,
that's wonderful.
Forward to it all year long.
Is there a tradition that you had, that your husband's family had in particular, you know, that he continued, you know, through the generations, you know, grandma, grandpa, great grandma, grandpa, something, a food perhaps, or a dish that you had that you make sure that's always on the table?
Always the cioppino, and everybody has their own idea of how it should be made and how it should be prepared. The cioppino goes back to like starting in September, when my husband's family all goes and picks tomatoes. Last year they picked 2,500 pounds of tomatoes, and they can it in September, and that's what they used to make the cioppino in for Christmas time.
Oh,
It's
it's
actually like
beautiful.
a couple months of a tradition. It starts in September and builds all the way through December.
Always the food, which is beautiful.
Always.
Anybody? Gino, I could tell you have a story to tell us. I can almost tell you're ready to tell us. Go ahead.
I'm ready. I'm ready to tell you my story. No, I grew up in the Valley, as I said, but I was my mother was from Nebraska, and so I wasn't even raised Catholic. But
I would not have guessed that. I would never have
Yeah.
guessed that about you, Gina. Honestly, I would have said that you're like first generation. Wow,
No, I'm second
something.
generation. And but we did have the advantage. My father and my mother were both musicians. My father was a tenor in the Italian tradition, and we lived in Italy for a year when I was a kid. So the Italian won out over Nebraska. No, but so my grandparents came over in about 1906. So we tried to keep the traditions alive as best we could. So the main things that we do, we make three kinds of pastries. One is called tordilli, and the other is called scalili, and the third one is called grispelli, which is like a zeppole. And we make the zeppole, we make that on Christmas Eve, but the other two, they're very common. I mean, there's variations probably all over Italy, but as I was, one of the things that I know that Italian Americans, because our traditions date so far back in the immigration process, we always wonder, okay, was this the real thing? Is this authentic? Or is what we're doing really what they used to do in Italy? That's very important to us. And thanks to you,
yeah.
Thanks to you, I've been able to understand what we're doing is absolutely authentic. So, but that's generally what we do. And it's gotten to the point even where my first cousins on my mother's side, there's not an Italian drop of blood in the lot, they're doing the pastries in Denver, and they have 30 people over, and they do this. So our Italian family tradition has gone into the civilian population, for lack of a better term.
Gino, you're doing your part. You're doing your part. That's fantastic. Oh, I love that. How many in your family?
I have a sister, but then I have cousins. I have a lot of cousins in Southern California.
But your immediate family?
My immediate family, just my sister.
Just your sister. Okay.
Yeah. But
Josephine, do you want to add anything? What do you do? Because I'm sure you do something. But wait, were you done, Gino? Because if you
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay, we'll come back too. It's not just one turn only. So go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I was born in Italy. I came here when I was 3 years old. So my whole family immigrated here when I was 3. And my mom ever, since the day she died, didn't speak any English. So that's why I know Italian, because I've always spoke to her in Italian. And because she was always a housewife. But anyway, as far as Christmas, what we start off with is the December 13th with the Santa Lucia, which is a saint. And what we eat for Santa Lucia is wheat berry. It's the wheat. We boil it, we cook it different ways, but we eat it with like syrup or honey, and it's just a tradition that we do. And the story behind Santa Lucia was during the Spanish period when Palermo was suffering they had a disaster during their harvest for wheat, and they were hungry. So what they did is they prayed to Saint Lucia, which is Santa Lucia, for a miracle. And it just so happened that there's a big ship with a bunch of wheat in it, and just miraculously came, and everybody got on the ship and got their wheat, and they brought it home, and they all ate it because just to survive, So that was, that's one of the beginning of the tradition. So we do that every single year. As a matter of fact, my sister's doing it this year. You have to kind of soak it for a couple of days before you cook it. But it's just a tradition, and it's really, really good. It's just little wheat. It's wheat berry. That's what it is. It's called wheat berry because we do buy it.
That's wonderful.
Here. Yeah.
So are there a lot of you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. In my family, my sisters and their kids and grandkids, and my kids and grandkids, and we're 6 in my immediate family. We're 56.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Although we had something very similar growing up that I'll tell you too. Shelby. How about you? And I know Shelby's really into food and the good ingredients that go into the food. So I'm curious, how do you celebrate with your family? Is it a big thing that you do with your family too?
Yeah, so I mean, I come from mixed heritage, but like they always say, it just takes a drop of Italian blood for the traditions to be completely Italianized. So we also did Christmas Eve would always be a seafood day. So I think it's generally 7 fishes. I don't think we always would have seven, but there would always be swordfish. We always would have lots of mussels and clams. Sometimes we do cioppino. Sometimes we would do a chowder. Lots of fresh pasta, and then we'd always go to mass on Christmas Eve. And then, for me, I feel like Christmas Day was just very much about the presents up until I reached, maybe being a teenager. Then I was like, oh, okay, what other ways can I help participate? And so then I started to help my mom and grandma make a lasagna for Christmas Day. And then the other big tradition that we have is actually not for Christmas, but for New Year's Eve, we would always make lentils. And that's because lentils are supposed to bring in wealth because they're like little coins. And so if you
Oh,
make a big pot of lentils on Christmas Eve, the idea is that you'll have a year of wealth, and who doesn't want that?
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm my parents were not born in Italy, but my grandparents were. But my parents very, very much upheld the Italian tradition of cooking the 7 fishes. But there were so many siblings that they each had that everybody had a job. Somebody did the fish, somebody did the cookies. There were various cookies, zeppola, and you name it. Um, but you know what's funny? I grew up not really wanting the fish. And I would say to my mom, typical American kid, right? Like, why do we have to do this? Why can't we just have angel hair pasta? That was like a sin to my parents. They couldn't even believe that I would think this way. They were horrified. And as I got older, I got to understand the tradition and why it was so important and valuable to them to keep that going. I'm not America's greatest cook. I'm just not. So fortunately, my sister can continue that tradition. But as the years went on, I have to say, because we're out here and all of my family's back there, sadly, my parents passed, but still many aunts, uncles, cousins are still there. Our Christmases are very small. So now we include friends, right?
Deborah,
Gino,
can I ask a question? I'm
please.
curious. Does anybody still observe the La Befana? Having presents
Anybody?
January 6th. Isn't it January 6th or 9th?
It
Yeah.
is, which is interesting because, as you know, Gino, and probably most of you, Christmas doesn't just end on the 25th or the next day with leftovers on the 26th. It continues. My parents did, Gino. I do not. Anybody else?
We celebrate Christmas. I'm also mixed heritage, and Orthodox Armenians celebrate Christmas on January 6th. So
Right. And for those who don't know, on the 5th is the Epiphany, right? And on the 6th is when the 3 wise men, is this correct, arrived in Bethlehem. That says the tradition. And
Right.
Gino, and that's the official meaning of the holiday, but it continues, right, until the 6th, Gino?
I mean, we don't celebrate it, but I understand that in Italy that's really when the gift giving is. It's on
Right.
Very
but-
true. Because in Italy, we went to Italy 2 years ago, 2018, and we were there on Christmas Day. And we were in St. Peter's Square. And then we went to visit my relatives for the first time in my life down outside of Naples. And I got to meet all of them. It was an extraordinary experience to be there on Christmas. And gifts are not a big deal. It's the food and family that are important on Christmas and Christmas Eve. And the gift, as you said, Gino, those gifts are given particularly to the kids on the 6th of January. So, yeah.
And La Befana, that's a witch, right, on a broomstick or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
one thing we didn't carry over here.
we didn't carry that one either. Anybody else? We're like, I think there's like this witch that comes down on a broomstick with, if you get presents, it means you were a good kid. That's mostly for the kids. And if you don't, you get some coal in your stocking, you weren't a very good kid. Now, I don't think a lot of people do that here in America. What do you think, guys?
No, I think Santa Claus wins over.
Yeah.
Santa wins every time. So how are you all celebrating this year with COVID before I let y'all go?
Small.
Family only.
Smaller.
Immediate family.
Are you all still cooking up a big storm, or just you're making it smaller?
We're cooking.
Well, I'm still doing.
Cooking.
Go ahead, Paula.
Oh, no. We're cooking. We've kind of keeping our fingers crossed that it will not be the only day that we have rain, because we will be outside. But we're a lot smaller this year, cooking outside, eating outside. Just hoping, the weather cooperates. But it's hard. Don't want to pass up a Christmas we've got a lot of elderly relatives, my mom, my mother-in-law. Don't want to pass up an opportunity to spend a holiday with them. So we're going to be as safe as possible outside, small.
Sounds fair. Anyone else want to chime in what you're doing? Ours is really small.
We'll be small. We're just going to stay home and try to do everything by Zoom.
That's what we're doing. Call the relatives back east by Zoom, and it's just going to be my immediate family, myself, and my 3 sons. That's it. And my middle son, thank goodness, carries on the tradition of my parents, and he'll hand bake pasta, from scratch, makes his own flour and everything. So,
hey, Deborah, before we finish, I want to thank you for what you do for LILA. I've watched all your podcasts, and it's just such a wonderful thing to have you on our board, and you're really our window into the world, and I appreciate you so much. So I really want to thank you for having us on, and for your willingness and enthusiasm to do this. It's a tremendous thing. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I couldn't do this without all of you, and Shelby always helps me plan, and it's a little bit of everything. Oh, and we open up the new year with Frank Stallone. He's a musician. That's going to be a lot of fun. So he'll be lots of fun to have. And anybody out there who has ideas, please let us know. We'll take any and all fun ideas going on locally, whatever, with our Italian brothers and sisters. So thanks, Gino. And thanks, everybody. Josephine, Paula, Shelby, Gino.
Welcome.
This was a lot of fun. Anything else you want to add before I let y'all go?
No, just have a happy Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry
just
Christmas.
Have a safe and Merry Christmas. Right. And as everyone knows, you can see our podcast on the Little Italy of Los Angeles Association page on Facebook, YouTube, and then we push it out, right? On the Instagram, we have our promos, and then you can also listen to us on any audio podcast platform that you have. So we really appreciate it. Tell all your friends, because we'd love to grow this. That'd be great. That's the goal. And come down and visit us, Little Italy, Los Angeles. Still walk around and just see what we're doing. Yeah. So everybody, thank you very, very much for being with us. I wish you a very safe and healthy Christmas and New Year, and we'll see you in the new year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.